Her siblings threw her out after their billionaire father died, unaware he left her a secret video. The rain hit like accusations, cold, relentless, meant to break you. I stood outside the gates of the only home I'd ever known, soaked to the bone, watching the iron bars that had just locked me out of my own life. Behind those gates sat the Hale mansion, all 20,000 square feet of marble and glass and memories, glowing like a fortress against the Seattle night sky. Inside, my siblings were probably toasting champagne. Outside, I was dying. Not literally, not yet, anyway, but close enough. My hands shook as I clutched the single duffel bag they'd allowed me to pack. 15 minutes, they'd said. 15 minutes to gather a lifetime and get out before they called security. Correction, before Damien called security. My oldest brother. The golden heir. The one who'd looked me dead in the eye 2 hours ago and said, "You were never really family, Ava. You do understand that, don't you?" Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I share stories that'll grip your heart and not let go, stories about betrayal, redemption, and love that fights back. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. Are you team forgive and forget or team burn it all down? Because trust me, you're going to need to pick a side. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button because this one's going to wreck you in the best way possible. Now let's get back to it. The security guard, Paolo, who'd known me since I was 8, wouldn't meet my eyes as he'd escorted me out. That's how I knew it was real. That's how I knew I wasn't having some grief-induced nightmare. My father was dead. And my siblings had just erased me. Magnus Hale, tech titan, self-made billionaire, Forbes cover regular, and the only parent I'd ever known, had died 4 days ago. Sudden cardiac event, the doctors said. He was only 59. He'd been healthy, vibrant, terrifying in his brilliance just last week when I'd had dinner with him. And now he was gone. The funeral had been that morning. Thousands attended, politicians, celebrities, tech moguls who'd flown in from 3 continents. The media called it the end of an era. Inside the cathedral, my siblings had sat in the front row, draped in designer black, performing grief like they'd rehearsed it. I'd sat 2 rows back. Not because I'd chosen to. Because Victoria, my oldest sister, had physically blocked me when I'd tried to sit with them. Optics, Ava, she'd whispered, her smile sharp as a knife. The real family sits together. I should have known then. Should have seen what was coming. But I'd been drowning in my own grief, suffocating under the weight of losing the one person who'd ever made me feel like I belonged. So I'd sat there, silent, while strangers paid respects to a man they'd never really known. None of them knew Magnus like I did. None of them knew he'd taught me chess on Sunday mornings, that he'd listened to my ideas about AI ethics like they mattered, that he'd looked at me and adopted, ordinary me, and said, "You have a mind that sees around corners, Ava. Don't ever let anyone dim that." But maybe I'd imagined all of it. Maybe Damien was right. Maybe I'd never been real family at all. The will reading had been scheduled for 6 p.m. in the library of the Hale mansion. I'd arrived early, my stomach twisted in knots, not because I expected anything, I'd never expected anything, but because I'd needed to be there. To hear my father's final words, even if they weren't meant for me. The lawyer, Mr. Carlyle, had been a dry, efficient man I'd met only twice before. He'd read through the document with professional detachment. To my son, Damien Hale, I leave my shares in Hale Technologies Asia-Pacific Division and the Manhattan Penthouse. To my daughter, Victoria Hale, I leave my shares in Hale Ventures and the estate in Monaco. To my son, Ashton Hale, I leave my shares in Hale Media Group and the collection of classic automobiles. On and on it went. Millions. Tens of millions. Empires divided among the 3 of them. And then, silence. I'd waited, my heart hammering, for my name. It never came. That concludes the primary distribution, Mr. Carlyle had said, closing the folder. Victoria had smiled. Actually smiled. Wait, I'd said, my voice barely above a whisper. What about you? Damien had turned to me, his expression almost pitying. Almost. Ava, let's be realistic. You were Dad's charity project. A good deed. We all know that. That's not. You're not a Hale, Victoria had cut in, standing now, elegant and venomous. Not by blood. Not by contribution. You've been living off our father's generosity for 23 years. Consider it a good run. My chest had constricted. He was my father too. He felt sorry for you, Ashton had added, the youngest of the 3 biological children, but no less cruel. There's a difference. That's when Damien had delivered the killing blow. We've been patient, Ava. Out of respect for Dad's memory. But this house, this family, this legacy, it's not yours. It never was. He'd glanced at Mr. Carlyle. The estate policy is clear. Family members only. She's not blood. She has no legal claim to remain on the property. I'd looked at the lawyer, desperate. Is that true? Mr. Carlyle had shifted uncomfortably. The estate does have provisions. And technically, as you're adopted but not a beneficiary, and as the property now belongs to the primary heirs. She needs to leave. Victoria's voice had been final. Tonight. You can't. We can, Damien had said. We are. You have 1 hour to pack. They'd negotiated me down to 15 minutes. Now I stood in the rain, my phone dead, my bank account, I'd checked before the battery died, showing a balance of $847. Everything else had been on credit cards my father had provided. Credit cards that, I discovered when I'd tried to use one for a rideshare, had been cancelled. They'd thought of everything. I had nowhere to go. My college friends had all been semester abroad acquaintances, surface-level relationships I'd never deepened because I'd been too busy trying to prove myself to a family that had never wanted me. No boyfriend, I'd dated exactly twice, both disasters. No other relatives. Magnus had been an only child, and my biological parents. I'd never known them. I'd been left at a fire station when I was 3 days old. Magnus had adopted me when I was 5, after seeing me at a charity event for foster children. He'd told me once that I'd looked at him and asked, "Are you lonely too?" He'd said yes. And he'd taken me home. For 18 years, I believed that meant something. The cold was seeping into my bones now, the kind of cold that makes you wonder if you'll ever be warm again. I needed to move. Find a shelter. A motel. Something. But my legs wouldn't cooperate. Because once I walked away from these gates, it was real. My father was dead. My family had thrown me away. And I was completely, utterly alone. Ava Hale. The voice cut through the rain, deep, measured, unfamiliar. I spun around, my heart lurching. A man stood 10 feet away, materialized from the darkness like he'd been carved from it. Tall, maybe 6'2", wearing a black coat that probably cost more than my entire duffel bag's contents. Dark hair, swept back and rain-slicked. And eyes, even in the dim light from the street lamps, I could see them ice blue and intense, fixed on me like I was a problem he was calculating how to solve. I knew him. Not personally. But I'd seen him before, always at a distance. At company events. Standing beside my father during press conferences. Lysander Voss. My father's protege. The man Magnus had mentored for over a decade, who'd built his own tech empire, Voss Enterprises, into a billion-dollar powerhouse before he'd turned 35. The man my siblings had always been jealous of because Magnus had trusted him in ways he'd never trusted them. I managed, trying not to let my teeth chatter. I'm Ava. He moved closer, and I noticed he didn't hurry. Lysander Voss didn't seem like the kind of man who hurried anywhere. The rain didn't touch him, or it did, but somehow he made it look intentional. You're soaked, he observed. It's raining. And you're standing outside the estate gates because... Was he serious? Because I was just evicted from my own home by my own siblings. Did you need something, Mr. Voss, or are you here to deliver more bad news? Because I'm really at capacity. Something flickered in those cold eyes. Not quite amusement. Something darker. I'm here, he said quietly, because Magnus asked me to be. The world tilted. What? He reached into his coat and pulled out a phone, not his own, I realized. The case was familiar. Worn leather. Custom. My father's phone. He gave this to me 3 days before he died, Lysander said. With very specific instructions. My heart was hammering so hard I could barely breathe. What instructions? To find you, if anything happened to him. To give you this. He held out the phone. And to make sure you were safe. I stared at the device like it might explode. Why would he? There's a video, Lysander interrupted. Recorded the night before he died. Addressed to you. Only you. He paused, rain streaming down his face. Magnus knew, Ava. Knew what? Those ice blue eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw something in them that terrified me more than my siblings' cruelty ever could. Certainty. He knew he was going to die, Lysander said. And he knew they'd come for you. Before we continue, I need to know, are you hooked yet? Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Magnus's death was really an accident? And what do you think is on that video? Your theories fuel these stories, so don't hold back. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. That's impossible, I whispered. The doctors said it was his heart. The doctors said what they were told to say. Lysander's voice was soft, but it cut through everything. Get in the car, Ava. What car? He gestured behind him, and that's when I saw it, a black SUV, idling at the curb, windows tinted, engine purring like a predator. Every instinct screamed danger. But another part of me, the part that had loved Magnus Hale, that had trusted him even when no one else had, whispered, listen. Why should I trust you? I asked. Lysander tilted his head slightly, considering. You shouldn't. You don't know me. But your father did. And he trusted me with the most important thing in his world. His gaze held mine. He trusted me with you. The rain was coming down harder now, icy and punishing. I was so tired. So cold. So broken. And this stranger, this dangerous, enigmatic man my father had chosen, was offering me answers. Maybe that made me stupid. Maybe I'd regret it. But I took the phone from his hand. And I got in the car. The interior of the SUV was warm, almost too warm after the biting cold. Leather seats, tinted windows, and silence so thick I could hear my own heartbeat. Lysander slid in beside me, not across from me. Close enough that I caught the scent of expensive cologne and rain. He pulled the door shut, sealing us in, and suddenly the world outside felt very far away. Drive, he said to someone I couldn't see. The SUV pulled smoothly into traffic. I clutched my father's phone like a lifeline, my wet clothes dripping onto the pristine leather. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. Lysander was looking at me now, really looking, and I felt exposed under that gaze. Somewhere they can't reach you. They? Your siblings. And whoever else might be interested in keeping you silent. My laugh came out broken. Silent about what? I don't know anything. I'm nobody. That, Lysander said quietly, is what they're counting on. I wanted to argue, but exhaustion was crushing me. The adrenaline that had kept me upright for the past 4 days, through the funeral, through the will reading, through my own exile, was finally draining away. Watch the video first, Lysander said, nodding toward the phone. Then we'll talk. My hands trembled as I unlocked it. My father had never been precious about security, his password was my birthday. 0-8-1-5. The screen lit up, and there it was, a single video file, dated 4 days ago. The day before he died. I looked at Lysander. Should I? It's yours, he said. I haven't watched it. Magnus made me promise. Something about this cold, powerful man keeping a promise to a dead mentor, made my chest tighten. I pressed play. My father's face filled the screen. He was in his study, the one on the 3rd floor that overlooked the sound. Late night, judging by the darkness outside his windows. He looked tired. More than tired, haunted. But when he spoke, his voice was steady. Ava. Sweetheart. If you're watching this, then I'm gone. And I'm so sorry. Tears blurred my vision instantly. I don't have much time, so I need you to listen carefully. Everything you've been told about your adoption, it's not the whole truth. Your mother didn't abandon you. She died protecting you. And your father. Ava, your biological father is alive. His name is Jonathan Strand. And he's been looking for you for 23 years. The world stopped. I took you in not just because I wanted a daughter, though God knows, you became the light of my life, but because I owed a debt. Jonathan saved my life once, long ago, when I was nobody. When men wanted me dead for what I was building. He asked one thing in return: if anything ever happened to him, I'd protect his daughter. You. I couldn't breathe. Something did happen. Jonathan was forced to disappear, to protect you both from people who wanted to use you to control him. Your mother was killed. And you were left at that fire station by someone Jonathan trusted, someone who was supposed to keep you hidden until it was safe. My father's face grew harder. It was never safe. So I kept you. I raised you as mine. And I never told you because I thought I could protect you better if you didn't know. I was wrong. He leaned closer to the camera. 3 days ago, I discovered something that changes everything. Someone inside Hale Technologies has been embezzling funds, hundreds of millions, and funneling them to offshore accounts. When I started investigating, I found something worse, a connection to the same people who came after Jonathan 23 years ago. A syndicate. Powerful. Ruthless. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might shatter. I confronted the wrong person, Ava. And now I think they're going to kill me. No, I whispered. If I'm right, if I'm dead, you need to know, you're not just my daughter. You're my primary heir. I changed the will 6 months ago, put everything into a trust that only you can access. The company. The fortune. All of it. Because you're the only one I trust. He smiled then, sad and proud. Damien, Victoria, Ashton, they're my children, but they're corrupted. Greedy. They've been working against me for years, thinking I didn't notice. But I did. And I chose you. Lysander Voss has the documentation. Trust him, Ava. He's the only other person who knows the truth. He'll protect you until you're strong enough to protect yourself. My father's eyes glistened. I love you, sweetheart. I'm sorry I won't be there to see what you become. But I know it'll be extraordinary. You've always been extraordinary. Fight for what's yours. And find Jonathan. He deserves to know his daughter. You deserve to know your father. Be brave, Ava. Be brilliant. Be everything they fear you are. The screen went black. I sat there, tears streaming, the phone shaking in my hands. Everything I'd known, every truth about my life, had just shattered. I wasn't just the adopted daughter who'd been thrown away. I was the heir. I was the target. And my father had been murdered. Breathe, Ava. Lysander's voice cut through the chaos in my head. His hand was suddenly on my shoulder, warm, steady, grounding. I sucked in air, choking on it. He was killed, I managed. They killed him. Yes. The certainty in that one word destroyed me. Who? I demanded, turning on him. Who did this? Lysander's expression was carved from stone. That's what we need to figure out. But first, we keep you alive. I don't understand any of this. A syndicate? My biological father? A trust? I was spiraling. Why didn't he tell me? Why didn't he? Because he was trying to protect you, Lysander said. And because he underestimated how quickly they'd move. I looked down at the phone, at my father's frozen face on the dark screen. He said I'm the primary heir. You are. But the will reading was a decoy. The real will, the legal one, is in a vault. Only accessible by you, with biometric verification and a password only Magnus knew. Lysander pulled out a folder from the seat pocket. He gave me this to give to you. Instructions. Account numbers. Names. I took it with numb fingers. Inside were documents. Legal papers. And a handwritten note in my father's scrawl. The password is the answer to the question that made me choose you. You'll know it when you need it. The question that made him choose me. Are you lonely too? Fresh tears came, but this time, something else came with them. Anger. My siblings had thrown me out. Had called me nothing. Had celebrated my erasure. But I wasn't nothing. I was Magnus Hale's chosen heir. And someone had killed him for it. I looked at Lysander, this stranger my father had trusted with everything. You said somewhere safe, I said, my voice steadier now. Where? My penthouse. Top floor, private elevator, security that makes the White House look accessible. His ice blue eyes held mine. No one gets to you there without going through me. And why would you do this? Risk yourself for me. For the first time, something almost human crossed his face. Because Magnus Hale saved my life when I was 22 and had nothing. Because he believed in me when no one else did. Because he asked me to protect you, and I don't break promises to dead men. He paused. And because if what he suspected is true, taking down the people who killed him means burning down a corrupt empire. I've been waiting for an excuse to light that match. There was something dark and dangerous in his voice. Something that should have scared me. Instead, it made me feel something I hadn't felt in 4 days. Hope. Okay, I whispered. Okay. Lysander nodded once. We'll get you cleaned up. Federation rested. And tomorrow, we start planning. Planning what? His smile was sharp enough to cut. Your resurrection. Lysander's penthouse was a fortress wrapped in luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle's glittering skyline. Minimalist furniture that probably cost more than most people's houses. And silence, the kind of expensive silence that came from being 40 stories above the chaos. A woman met us at the elevator, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, professionally warm. This is Miranda, Lysander said. She'll get you settled. Miranda looked at my soaked clothes and didn't even blink. Right this way, Miss Hale. I followed her down a hallway to a guest suite that was bigger than my entire college dorm had been. The bed looked like a cloud. The bathroom had heated floors. There are clothes in the closet, various sizes, Miranda said. Mr. Voss keeps them for guests. Help yourself to anything. I'll bring up some food shortly. She left before I could ask what kind of guests required an entire wardrobe. I peeled off my wet clothes, stepped into the shower, and let the scalding water burn away the numbness. But it couldn't touch what was underneath. My father had been murdered. I had a biological father who was alive. I was an heiress to a fortune my siblings didn't know existed. And someone wanted me dead. The water turned cold before I got out. I dressed in the first things I found, black leggings, an oversized sweater that smelled like expensive detergent. My hair hung in wet tangles, but I couldn't summon the energy to care. When I emerged, Lysander was standing by the windows, phone to his ear, speaking in clipped tones. I don't care what they're offering. The answer is no. Because I said so. Handle it. He ended the call and turned. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Better, he asked. Clean. Not better. He nodded like he understood. Eat something. Then we talk. Miranda had left a tray, soup, bread, fruit. I sat at the kitchen island and forced myself to eat, though everything tasted like ash. Lysander sat across from me, watching. You're staring, I said finally. I'm observing. There's a difference. And what are you observing? That you're stronger than they think you are. He leaned forward. That's good. You'll need to be. I set down my spoon. Tell me what you know. All of it. Lysander pulled out a tablet and slid it across to me. On the screen were financial statements, transaction records, names I didn't recognize. For the past 3 years, someone's been siphoning money from Hale Technologies. Small amounts at first. Then larger. Always carefully hidden. Your father discovered it 2 weeks ago when he personally audited the Asia-Pacific division. Damien's division, I said quietly. Yes. You think my brother? I think your brother is either involved or spectacularly incompetent. Maybe both. Lysander swiped to another screen. But the money wasn't going to him. It was going here. A shell corporation. Registered in the Cayman Islands. And from there. I asked. That's where it gets interesting. The shell company has ties to a private equity firm called Obsidian Capital. Ever heard of it? I shook my head. Most people haven't. They're ghosts. But they've been quietly acquiring tech companies for a decade. Always hostile takeovers. Always ugly. He looked at me. Your father fought off 3 acquisition attempts from them over the years. My stomach turned. So they killed him instead. Possibly. Or someone wanted to make it look that way. Lysander closed the tablet. Either way, Magnus was getting close to something. And now he's dead. I stood, pacing, my mind racing. The video said there was a syndicate. The same one that came after my biological father. Jonathan Strand. Yes. Do you know anything about him? Lysander hesitated. Only what Magnus told me. Strand was a cryptographer. Brilliant. Worked for the government on classified projects. Then he discovered something that powerful people wanted buried. When he tried to expose it, they came for him. And for his family. My mother. She died in a car accident. Officially. His tone made it clear what he thought of official stories. I wrapped my arms around myself. So I'm supposed to believe there's some massive conspiracy? That my entire life has been a lie. Your life hasn't been a lie, Ava. Magnus loved you. That was real. Lysander stood, moving closer. But yes. There are people who would kill to keep certain secrets buried. Your father was one of those secrets. And now, so are you. Why me? I don't know anything about any of this. Your leverage. As long as Jonathan Strand thinks his daughter is dead, he stays hidden. But if he learns you're alive, they can use me to draw him out, I finished, my blood running cold. Or kill you to make sure he never finds out. The room suddenly felt too small. I need air. There's a terrace. Alone, I said sharply. Please. Lysander studied me for a long moment, then nodded. The terrace is through those doors. I'll be here when you're ready. I stepped outside into the cold night air. The city sprawled below, millions of lights, millions of lives, all of them simpler than mine had just become. I gripped the railing and tried to breathe. My phone, my real phone, not my father's, was still in my duffel bag inside. Dead, useless. Cut off from the world like I'd been cut off from everything else. But I didn't need it to know what was happening right now. My siblings were probably celebrating, dividing up assets, planning their futures. They had no idea what was coming. And maybe that gave me an advantage. I heard the terrace door open behind me. I said alone, I started. And I don't take orders well. I turned. Lysander stood there, holding 2 glasses of amber liquid. Scotch, he said, offering me one. 25 years old. Your father's favorite. I took it because my hands needed something to hold. To Magnus, Lysander said quietly, raising his glass. To Magnus, I whispered. We drank in silence. The scotch burned, but it was a good burn. A warm burn. What happens now? I asked finally. Lysander set down his glass. Now, we make you disappear. Officially. Let your siblings think they won. Meanwhile, we gather evidence, build a case, and figure out who killed your father. And then? His smile was dangerous. Then you walk back into that mansion as the majority shareholder and watch their faces when you take everything. The image sent a thrill through me I didn't want to examine too closely. What about Jonathan Strand? My father? We find him. Carefully. Once we know who we're dealing with. Lysander paused. One step at a time, Ava. I looked at this man, this stranger who'd become my only ally in the span of 2 hours. Why do I feel like I'm making a deal with the devil? His laugh was low, dark. Because you probably are. But right now, the devil's the only one offering to save you. He wasn't wrong. I finished my scotch and set the glass down with a decisive click. Okay. I'm in. Just like that. Just like that. I met his ice blue eyes. They threw me away like garbage. They took everything. And they killed my father. My voice hardened. So yes. Let's burn it all down. Something flickered in Lysander's expression, approval, maybe. Or recognition. Welcome to the war, Ava Hale. My phone, my father's phone, buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, frowning. A text message. From an unknown number. We know what Magnus told you. Give us the access codes, and we'll let you live. Refuse, and you'll join him. You have 48 hours. The blood drained from my face. I showed Lysander the screen. His jaw tightened. They're watching you. How? I've been with you. The phone. He took it from my hands, examining it. Magnus's phone. They must have tracking software embedded. So they heard everything on the video. No. It's encrypted. But they know you have it. His eyes met mine. They know you know. My hands were shaking again. 48 hours. They won't wait that long. What do we do? Lysander's expression went cold, the kind of cold that meant someone was about to have a very bad day. We move up the timeline. Lysander moved fast. Within 20 minutes, his penthouse transformed into a command center. 2 men arrived, security, he said, and swept every inch of the place for bugs. A tech specialist showed up with equipment I didn't recognize and pulled my father's phone apart, confirming Lysander's suspicions. Sophisticated spyware, she said, a woman with purple hair and bored eyes. Military grade. Activated remotely 3 hours ago. Right after the will reading, I said. Which means someone at that meeting triggered it, Lysander said. Someone who knew you'd get the phone. But you're the only one who knew. Exactly. His expression darkened. Which means they've been watching me too. The tech specialist, her name was Riley, destroyed the phone's tracking chip but preserved the video. Backed up in 3 separate secure locations, she told me. They can't touch it now. After she left, Lysander poured himself another scotch. We need to assume they know where you are, he said. Then I should leave. No. This building has better security than most government facilities. We use it to our advantage. He checked his watch. But we accelerate everything. Tomorrow, you're filing the paperwork to claim your inheritance. Tomorrow? But you said. I said we'd make you disappear. I didn't say for how long. He turned to face me. The best way to protect you is to make you too visible to kill. If you're publicly declared the primary heir, if the media knows, if the whole world is watching, it becomes significantly harder to make you vanish quietly. I swallowed hard. That also makes me a bigger target. Yes. Which is why you don't leave my sight until this is over. Something about the way he said it made my pulse quicken. How long is that going to be? As long as it takes. I paced the length of the windows, my mind spinning. What about my siblings? When they find out about the real will, they'll lose their minds, Lysander said with something that might have been satisfaction. Damien will lawyer up. Victoria will go to the media with some sob story. Ashton will probably just throw a tantrum. You know them well. I've watched them circle your father like vultures for years. I know exactly who they are. He paused. The question is, which one of them is working with whoever sent that text? I stopped pacing. You think one of them is involved? Someone gave the order to activate that spyware. Someone knew you'd matter. His eyes locked on mine. Your siblings knew Magnus changed his will 6 months ago. He told them he was restructuring the inheritance. They've been furious ever since. He told them. My voice cracked. Why would he? Because he wanted to see how they'd react. And they reacted exactly as he feared. Lysander set down his glass. Damien tried to have him declared mentally incompetent. Victoria hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on you. Ashton. He hesitated. What did Ashton do? Started having secret meetings with Obsidian Capital. The room tilted. The same company that's been embezzling from Hale Technologies. The very same. I sank into the nearest chair. So my baby brother is trying to sell out the family company. Or he's being used. Hard to say which. Lysander moved closer. Either way, we can't trust any of them. I already knew that, I said bitterly. A long silence stretched between us. You should get some sleep, Lysander said finally. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. I can't sleep. Try anyway. Doctor's orders. You're not a doctor. No, but I'm the man keeping you alive, which means you listen to me. There was no heat in his words, just certainty. I stood, exhausted and wired all at once. Where will you be? Here. On the couch. You don't have to. Yes, I do. His tone left no room for argument. Until we know who we're fighting, I'm not taking chances. I wanted to argue, but the truth was, knowing he'd be close made the terror a little more bearable. Thank you, I said quietly. For all of this. Don't thank me yet. His smile was grim. We haven't even gotten to the hard part. I lay in the massive bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind refusing to quiet. 48 hours. Give us the access codes. But I didn't have access codes. I had a riddle from my father and a promise from a stranger. My phone, my actual phone, was charging on the nightstand. Miranda had found me a replacement charger. Against my better judgment, I turned it on. 17 missed calls. 32 texts. All from my siblings. I opened the messages, morbidly curious. Damien, where are you? We need to talk about your living arrangements. Victoria, Ava, stop being dramatic. Call me back. Ashton, Dad would want you to be reasonable about this. And then, from an hour ago. Damien, I know you're upset, but disappearing won't change anything. You're not in the will. Accept it and move on. I almost laughed. They had no idea. I was about to text back something scathing when a new message appeared. From an unknown number. Different from the threat. Are you safe? My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. Who is this? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Someone who knew your mother. Someone who's been watching over you for a very long time. Someone who needs to know Magnus kept his promise. The room spun. Jonathan. The response was immediate. Don't use names. Not on this phone. But yes. Is it really you, Ava? Tears blurred my vision. My biological father. Alive. Reaching out. It's me. I saw the video. Magnus told me everything. Then you know you're in danger. Serious danger. The people who killed your mother, they're still out there. And they know about you now. Someone already threatened me. 48 hours. A long pause. You need to disappear. Tonight. Don't trust anyone, including Magnus's people. I thought of Lysander, sleeping on the couch outside. Magnus trusted someone to protect me. Lysander Voss. Another pause, longer this time. Voss is dangerous, Ava. Capable, yes. But dangerous. He has his own agenda. His agenda is keeping me alive. For now. But when this is over? Men like Voss don't do anything without expecting payment. I didn't know how to respond to that. I need to see you, the message continued. Face to face. There are things you need to know. Things Magnus couldn't tell you. How? Where? I'll send instructions. But Ava, come alone. If Voss is there, I won't show. And you'll never get another chance. My chest tightened. I don't even know you. I know. And that's my fault. But I'm your father, Ava. Your real father. And I've spent 23 years trying to get back to you. Please. Let me explain. Let me help you. I stared at the screen, torn between hope and suspicion. How do I know this is really you? How do I know this isn't a trap? The response came with an attachment, a photo. A young woman holding a baby. The woman had my eyes. My nose. My smile. And the baby was wrapped in a blanket I recognized from my own baby photos. Your mother's name was Elena. She loved Vivaldi and terrible action movies. She was brilliant and brave, and she died making sure you'd survive. I've carried this photo for 23 years. Does that answer your question? My hand covered my mouth, muffling a sob. When? I typed. Tomorrow night. I'll send the location at noon. Come alone, Ava. Please. The messages stopped. I sat there in the dark, clutching the phone, my entire world spinning. I had a choice to make. Trust Lysander, the devil I barely knew, and tell him about this. Or trust Jonathan, the father I'd never met, and go alone. Either way, I was walking into the unknown. And 48 hours was already counting down. I didn't sleep. By the time dawn broke over Seattle, I'd made my decision. I found Lysander exactly where he said he'd be, on the couch, fully dressed, laptop open. He looked up when I entered, those ice blue eyes reading me instantly. You didn't sleep either, he observed. I got a message. I showed him the phone. From someone claiming to be Jonathan Strand. His expression went deadly calm. Show me. I handed over the device. Watched his face as he read through the conversation. When he got to the photo, something flickered in his eyes. This could be legitimate, he said slowly. Or it could be someone who has access to Strand's old files. That's what I thought. And he wants you to come alone. Yes. Lysander set down the phone, his jaw tight. Absolutely not. I wasn't asking permission. Ava. He's my father, I said, my voice sharper than intended. If there's even a chance this is real, I have to take it. You'll be walking into a trap. Maybe. Or maybe I'll finally get answers. I crossed my arms. You said it yourself, I need to find Jonathan Strand. Well, he found me first. Lysander stood, and suddenly the room felt smaller. He moved closer, and I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. If you go to this meeting and it's an ambush, I can't protect you, he said quietly. Is that what you want? To make it easy for them? No. I want you to help me make it safe. His eyes narrowed. How? You're the brilliant strategist. Figure it out. I met his gaze without flinching. I'm going to that meeting, Lysander. With your help or without it. Your choice. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. There she is, he murmured. What? The woman Magnus described. The one who'd argue with him about ethics at 3 in the morning. The one who wouldn't back down even when she was wrong. His expression softened almost imperceptibly. He said you had fire underneath all that doubt. He was right. My chest tightened. Don't try to manipulate me. I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. Lysander stepped back, giving me space. Fine. We'll do this. But on my terms. Which are? You wear a tracker. A wire. And I'm positioned nearby with a tactical team. He said come alone. He'll never know we're there. I promise. Lysander's tone left no room for negotiation. Those are the terms, Ava. Take them or I lock you in this penthouse until this is over. You wouldn't. Try me. We stared at each other, wills clashing. Finally, I nodded. Fine. But the team stays back unless I signal. Agreed. My phone buzzed. Both of us looked down. The location had arrived, right on schedule, Gasworks Park. 8 p.m. North Overlook. Come alone or I disappear forever. Public place, Lysander noted. Smart. Harder to stage an obvious ambush. But not impossible. No. He was already typing on his laptop. I'll have Riley set up surveillance. We'll know every person within 100 yards of that location. I moved to the windows, watching the city wake up below. Somewhere out there, my siblings were probably having breakfast, celebrating their victory. Somewhere else, someone was planning my death. And somewhere, maybe, my real father was waiting. Lysander? I said without turning. Yes? What did you mean when you said Strand warned me about you? That you have your own agenda. Silence stretched behind me. Everyone has an agenda, Ava. That's not an answer. No, he agreed. It's not. I turned to face him. What's yours? Lysander closed his laptop slowly, deliberately. When he looked at me, there was something raw in his expression. Something almost vulnerable. 10 years ago, I was nobody. A kid with a computer science degree and more debt than prospects. Magnus found me, invested in my first startup, mentored me through every mistake. He paused. But before Magnus, I was someone else. Someone with a different name, running from a different past. My pulse quickened. What past? My father was a criminal. Low-level mafia, East Coast operations. When I was 19, I testified against him to save my mother. Witness protection, new identity, the whole story. His voice was flat, controlled. The people he worked for, they're connected to Obsidian Capital. To the same network that came after Jonathan Strand. The pieces click together with terrifying clarity. That's why you know so much about them. That's why I've been hunting them for a decade. His eyes locked on mine. Magnus didn't just save my life, Ava. He gave me the resources to fight back. To become powerful enough that they couldn't touch me. And in return, I promised him that when the time came, I'd burn them all down. And my father's death is the excuse I've been waiting for. Lysander's smile was cold. So yes, I have an agenda. Destroy the organization that destroyed my family. And if protecting you accomplishes that? Even better. I should have been horrified. Should have realized I'd traded one set of vipers for another. Instead, I felt something else entirely. Understanding. So we're using each other, I said quietly. Efficiently. And when this is over, when they're gone, then you take your empire, and I take mine. And we both walk away. He tilted his head. Unless you'd prefer different terms. There was something in his voice, something that made my skin flush. No, I said quickly. That's fine. Good. But he didn't look away. Neither did I. The moment stretched, charged with something neither of us was ready to name. My phone shattered it, buzzing again. Another message. Another unknown number. Miss Hale, this is Attorney Carlyle. I need to speak with you urgently. Your siblings are contesting certain irregularities in your father's estate. Please contact me immediately. They found out, I breathed. Lysander read over my shoulder. Faster than expected. What do I do? Nothing. Let them panic. He was already moving, grabbing his phone. I'll have my lawyers contact Carlyle. Officially inform him that you're claiming your inheritance and that any attempts to interfere will be met with legal action. That'll make them desperate. Good. Desperate people make mistakes. Lysander looked at me. And we'll be ready when they do. Another buzz. This time, a news alert. Breaking, Hale Technologies in turmoil as heirs battle over late founder's estate. That was fast, I muttered. Victoria, Lysander said. She's always been good at controlling narratives. She's trying to paint you as the problem before you can defend yourself. I opened the article. Sure enough, there was a quote from my sister. We're deeply concerned about certain individuals attempting to take advantage of our father's passing. Magnus Hale built an empire through hard work and integrity. We won't let opportunists destroy his legacy. Opportunists. She meant me. Rage burned through my exhaustion. I want to go public, I said. Today. With everything. Too soon. We don't have enough proof. Then get it. I turned to face him fully. You said I need to be too visible to kill. So make me visible. Schedule a press conference. Tomorrow morning. Ava. Tomorrow morning, I repeated. I'm claiming what's mine. And the whole world is going to watch. Lysander studied me for a long moment. Then he smiled, a real smile this time, sharp and approving. Yes. The press conference was scheduled for 10 a.m. By 9:45, I was ready to throw up. Miranda had dressed me in a sharp black suit, armor, she'd called it. My hair was pulled back. Minimal makeup. I looked older than my 23 years. Stronger. I didn't feel strong. Breathe, Lysander said beside me. We were in a conference room at his corporate headquarters, 30 floors up. Outside the doors, I could hear the murmur of assembled reporters. There are so many of them. 63, last count. Every major outlet. He adjusted his cuffs. That's good. The more witnesses, the safer you are. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Lysander's hand found my shoulder, warm and solid. You know what to say. Claim my inheritance. State that I have documentation proving I'm the primary heir. Refuse to answer questions about the investigation. I met his eyes. And looked confident while doing it. You'll be perfect. How do you know? Because you're Magnus Hale's daughter. Both of them. His smile was slight. You've got this. Before I could respond, the doors opened. Riley appeared. We're ready. This was it. I walked into the room, and immediately, camera flashes blinded me. Questions erupted from every direction. Miss Hale. Is it true you were disinherited? Are you contesting the will? What's your relationship with Lysander Voss? I took my place behind the podium, Lysander standing slightly behind me, close enough to project unity, far enough to make clear this was my show. I cleared my throat. The room quieted. Thank you all for coming, I began, my voice steadier than expected. I'm here to address the misinformation circulating about my father's estate. Magnus Hale was not only one of the greatest innovators of our time, he was my father. And before his death, he entrusted me with the future of everything he built. More flashes. Furious typing. I am the primary beneficiary of Magnus Hale's estate, as documented in his legal will dated 6 months ago. I hold controlling shares of Hale Technologies and all associated holdings. I paused, letting that land. Any claims to the contrary are false. A reporter shouted, "Your siblings say you're lying." My siblings were informed of the will changes 6 months ago. Their surprise is manufactured. Do you have proof? I have documentation that will be filed with the probate court this afternoon. I gripped the podium. My father chose me because he trusted me to honor his vision. To protect what he built. And that's exactly what I intend to do. Miss Hale. Another reporter. Sources say your father's death is being investigated. Do you believe he was murdered? My heart stopped. I hadn't expected that question. Not yet. Lysander's presence behind me was the only thing keeping me upright. I believe, I said carefully, that all sudden deaths deserve thorough investigation. And I trust the authorities to do their job. Are you accusing your siblings? I'm not accusing anyone. I'm simply claiming what's legally mine. The questions came faster, more aggressive. I fielded them as best I could, sticking to the script Lysander and I had prepared. Then, from the back, how does it feel to destroy your family? I looked up, searching for the source. And my blood turned to ice. Damien stood there, flanked by Victoria and Ashton. All three immaculate in black, expressions perfectly arranged into grief and outrage. Damien, I said evenly. I didn't realize you were invited. This is a public forum, isn't it? He moved forward, cameras tracking him. I'm here to set the record straight. Lysander shifted slightly, protective, ready. Our father loved Ava, Damien continued, addressing the crowd. He took her in when she had nothing. Gave her everything. And this is how she repays that kindness? By fabricating documents, by making wild accusations, by tearing apart this family. Victoria stepped forward, tears glistening. We just want to honor our father's memory. Instead, Ava is turning his death into a circus. I wanted to scream. To lunge at them. Instead, I smiled. If you believe I'm fabricating documents, contest them in court. You have that right. I met Damien's eyes. But we both know you won't. Because you know I'm telling the truth. You're delusional, Ashton spat. Dad would never. Dad did, I interrupted. He chose me. And you can't stand it. The room erupted. Reporters screamed questions. Cameras flashed like lightning. And in the chaos, I saw Victoria's expression shift, just for a second. Something cold and calculated flashed behind her perfect mask. Then she pulled out her phone, tapped something, and smiled. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Dread washed over me. I pulled it out. A message. From the same unknown number that had threatened me before. 48 hours are up. You had your chance. Now you'll watch everyone you love die. starting with Jonathan Strand. His location is attached. Get there in 30 minutes or he's dead. Come alone or he's dead. Tell Voss or he's dead. Your choice, Ava. Below the text was a pin location. An abandoned warehouse in South Seattle. My vision blurred. Ava? Lysander's voice was low, concerned. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. They had my father. My real father. And if I didn't go alone, right now, they'd kill him. I looked at Lysander, at this man who'd promised to protect me, who'd become my only ally. And I knew I couldn't tell him. Because whoever sent this message was watching. Listening. And they'd know. I'm fine, I managed. I need a minute. I turned and walked off the stage, ignoring the explosion of questions behind me. Lysander followed. What happened? What did they send? Nothing. Just Victoria being Victoria. The lie tasted like ash. I need some air. Ava. Please. I looked at him, willing him to believe me. Just give me 5 minutes alone. Please. Something in my expression must have convinced him, because he nodded slowly. 5 minutes. Then we regroup. I fled to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and pulled up the message again. 30 minutes. Across the city. If I left now, I might make it. But I'd be walking into a trap. Alone. Defenseless. And if I didn't go, they'd kill Jonathan. The father I'd never met. The father who'd spent 23 years trying to find me. I had no choice. I pulled off the wire Riley had given me that morning. Left it in the bathroom trash. Then I slipped out the side exit, past security who didn't question me, and into the Seattle morning. I had 28 minutes. And I was completely on my own. The warehouse was exactly what I'd expected, rotting, isolated, reeking of diesel and decay. I'd made it with 3 minutes to spare, my lungs burning from running the last 2 blocks after the rideshare dropped me off. Now I stood at the rusted entrance, every instinct screaming at me to run. But I pushed the door open. Inside was darkness cut by shafts of light through broken windows. Shadows everywhere. The perfect place for an ambush. Hello? My voice echoed. Footsteps. From the far end. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall, lean, grey-haired. Probably late 50s. His eyes. I knew those eyes. I'd seen them in the mirror my whole life. Ava. His voice cracked. God, you look just like her. Jonathan. I whispered. He nodded, stepping closer. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of this. For everything you've lost. For not being there. Is this real? I cut him off. Or is this the trap? Pain crossed his face. It's both. My stomach dropped. They got to me 3 hours ago, he continued quickly. Said if I didn't lure you here, they'd kill you anyway. At least this way, I thought. I thought I could warn you. Warn me about what? Run, Ava. Right now. They're coming. The door behind me slammed shut. Lights blazed on, blinding. When my vision cleared, I saw them, 6 men in tactical gear, weapons drawn. And standing in front of them, looking immaculate in a grey suit, was someone I recognized from the Hale Technologies board meetings. Richard Chen. My father's CFO. Miss Hale, he said pleasantly. Thank you for making this easy. I backed toward Jonathan. You're behind the embezzlement. Behind it? I orchestrated it. For 3 years, right under Magnus's nose. Richard smiled. Until he got too curious. Until he started asking questions about Obsidian Capital. So you killed him. I facilitated his exit, yes. A small adjustment to his heart medication. Undetectable. Tragic. He gestured around the warehouse. And now, unfortunately, you and Mr. Strand will share a tragic ending of your own. A gas leak, perhaps. An explosion. 2 bodies, impossible to identify. Terror locked my joints. Why? I managed. Because Obsidian wants Hale Technologies. And you're the last obstacle. Richard checked his watch. Your siblings have already agreed to sell. Once you're gone, it's unanimous. My siblings are part of this. Damien and Ashton, yes. Victoria is useful but unaware. He shrugged. Either way, it doesn't matter. You'll be dead, they'll be rich, and I'll be richer. Jonathan grabbed my hand. I'm sorry, Ava. I should have stayed away. Should have kept you safe. Touching, Richard interrupted. But we're on a schedule. Gentlemen. The tactical team raised their weapons. I closed my eyes, waiting for the end. Then the skylight shattered. Glass rained down as figures dropped through, 6 of them, moving with military precision. Gunfire erupted. Jonathan yanked me behind a concrete pillar as chaos exploded around us. I couldn't process what was happening, only that people were fighting, shouting, and we were somehow still alive. Then a hand grabbed my arm. I spun, ready to fight. Lysander. You beautiful, idiotic woman, he growled. Did you really think I wouldn't track you? You said? I said 5 minutes. You said nothing about running into a trap. He hauled me toward the exit. Riley had a backup tracker in your jacket lining. Move! We ran, Jonathan stumbling beside us, as Lysander's team covered our escape. Outside, 3 black SUVs waited. Lysander pushed me into the nearest one. Go, go, go! We peeled out as the warehouse erupted behind us, actual explosion, flames shooting skyward. They really were going to blow us up, I gasped. Yes. Lysander was breathing hard, his jaw tight with fury. And you were going to let them because you didn't trust me enough to tell me. They said they'd kill him if I told you. They were going to kill you both anyway. He rounded on me, ice blue eyes blazing. Do you understand what you almost... He stopped, running a hand through his hair. Do you have any idea what it did to me when I realized you'd left? When I thought I'd lost you? The raw emotion in his voice stole my breath. Lysander? I can't protect you if you don't let me, he said quietly. I can't. I can't lose you, Ava. Our eyes locked. Something passed between us, something that had been building since the moment he'd found me in the rain. I'm sorry, I whispered. He exhaled slowly, then turned to Jonathan. You must be Strand. I am. Jonathan extended his hand. Thank you for saving my daughter. Our daughter, I corrected softly. Jonathan's eyes filled with tears. Lysander's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. Riley just sent the surveillance footage from the warehouse. Richard Chen made a phone call right before the explosion. To who? Damien Hale. My brother. Confirming what Richard had said. We have them, Lysander said. Chen's confession was recorded on my team's body cameras. Damien's involvement is documented. We take this to the authorities, and they both go down. What about Ashton? I asked. And Victoria? Ashton's complicit, but we need more evidence. Victoria. Lysander hesitated. According to our investigation, she might actually be innocent. Ruthless, yes. But not murderous. I didn't know how to feel about that. What happens now? Jonathan asked. Now. Lysander looked at me. Now Ava becomes exactly what Magnus wanted her to be. The rightful heir. The CEO. The one who saves Hale Technologies from the vultures. I don't know how to run a company, I protested. You'll learn. And you'll have help. His gaze held mine. If you want it. There was a question beneath the question. Yes, I said. I want it. Something shifted in his expression, relief, satisfaction, something deeper. Then let's go finish this. 24 hours later, I walked into Hale Technologies headquarters for the first time as its rightful owner. The lobby fell silent as I entered, Lysander on my right, Jonathan on my left. Behind us, Riley and a team of lawyers carried boxes of documentation, everything we needed to dismantle the conspiracy that had killed my father. The elevator ride to the top floor felt like ascending to battle. Ready? Lysander asked quietly. No, I admitted. But let's do it anyway. The boardroom was already full. My siblings sat on one side, Damien stone-faced, Victoria confused, Ashton pale and sweating. Across from them, Richard Chen and his lawyer. And at the head of the table, Mr. Carlyle, looking deeply uncomfortable. Every head turned when I entered. What is this? Damien demanded. This, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table, my father's seat, is a reckoning. I nodded to Riley. She connected her laptop to the screen. The warehouse footage began playing. Richard's voice filled the room. I facilitated his exit, yes. A small adjustment to his heart medication. Victoria gasped. Ashton went green. Damien didn't move. That's fabricated, Richard said smoothly. Clearly edited. We have 3 independent tech firms ready to verify its authenticity, Lysander cut in. Along with financial records showing your embezzlement, your connection to Obsidian Capital, and communication logs between you and certain members of this family. Damien's jaw clenched. Furthermore, I continued, sliding documents across the table, I'm officially claiming my position as majority shareholder and CEO of Hale Technologies, as outlined in my father's legal will. Mr. Carlyle has verified everything. The lawyer nodded miserably. It's all legitimate. Miss Hale controls 60% of the company. That's impossible, Victoria said. Damien, tell them. Shut up, Victoria, Damien snapped. Her face crumbled. You knew? You knew about this and you let me. I said shut up. No. Victoria stood, shaking. No, I'm done protecting you. Done being used. She turned to me, tears streaming. I didn't know, Ava. I swear I didn't know they killed him. I thought you were just trying to steal what was ours. I was angry, but I never wanted. I know, I said quietly. And surprisingly, I believed her. Ashton was crying now too. I just wanted Dad to notice me. Chen said if I helped with the Obsidian deal, Dad would finally see I was useful. I didn't know they were going to. He buried his face in his hands. I didn't know. But you suspected, Lysander said coldly. And you said nothing. I'm sorry, Ashton sobbed. I'm so sorry. I looked at my youngest brother, weak, desperate, pathetic. Part of me wanted to feel satisfaction at his breakdown. Instead, I just felt tired. Damien? I said. Anything to add? My oldest brother met my gaze with cold calculation. You can't prove I knew about the murder. No, Lysander agreed. But we can prove you knew about the embezzlement. That you facilitated meetings between Chen and Obsidian. That you tried to have your father declared incompetent to prevent him from investigating. He smiled. Corporate espionage. Fraud. Conspiracy. Should be good for 10 to 15 years. Damien's composure finally cracked. You have no idea what you're doing, Ava. This company is worth billions. You can't just. I can't. I leaned forward. I'm Magnus Hale's daughter. Both his chosen heir and his actual daughter by blood. I glanced at Jonathan, who nodded encouragingly. I have his vision, his values, and people who actually care about his legacy helping me. So yes, Damien. I absolutely can, Security entered the room. "Richard Chen," I said formally, "you're fired. Effective immediately. And these officers are here to escort you to the police station, where you'll be arrested for murder, embezzlement, and conspiracy." Richard's lawyer started to protest, but Richard held up a hand. "This isn't over," he said to me. "Obsidian doesn't give up easily. Neither do I." As they hauled him away, I turned to Damien. "You're also fired. Security will escort you out. Lawyers will be in touch about criminal charges." "You vindictive little." "I'm not vindictive," I interrupted. "I'm just done being your victim." I looked at Ashton. "You too." "Out." Ashton didn't fight. He stood, shoulders slumped, and followed security out. That left Victoria. We stared at each other across the table. "I really didn't know," she said again, her voice small. "I was cruel to you. Horrible. But I didn't want him dead, Ava. You have to believe me." "I do," I said. "But that doesn't mean you get to stay. You spent years making me feel worthless. Making me doubt I belonged. And when Dad died, you threw me away without a second thought. I know. And I'll regret it for the rest of my life." She wiped her eyes. "What happens to me?" I considered. Victoria had been terrible to me, but she wasn't a murderer. Just a woman poisoned by entitlement and jealousy. "You keep your inheritance from the public will," I said. "The Monaco estate, the venture capital shares. That's what Dad wanted you to have. But you resign from the board. You walk away from Hale Technologies. And you never, ever contact me again unless it's to apologize." She nodded, tears falling freely now. "That's more than I deserve." "Yes," I agreed. "It is." Victoria stood, paused at the door. "For what it's worth, he was right about you. Dad. You were always the best of us." Then she was gone. The boardroom emptied until it was just me, Lysander, Jonathan, and Mr. Carlyle. "Well," the lawyer said, "that was eventful. Miss Hale, as the new CEO and majority shareholder, there are approximately 700 documents requiring your signature." Later, Lysander said smoothly, "Miss Hale needs a moment." Carlyle nodded and scurried out. I slumped in my chair, suddenly exhausted. "You did it," Jonathan said softly. "You got justice for Magnus." "We did it," I corrected. I looked at him, this stranger who was my father, who'd risked everything to find me. "What happens now? With us?" Jonathan smiled, and it was my smile. "Now we get to know each other. Finally. If you want that." "I do," I said, surprised by how much I meant it. He squeezed my hand, then stood. "I'll let you two talk." "But Ava? I'm proud of you. Your mother would be too." After he left, Lysander moved to sit beside me. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Like I just survived a war." "You did." He was closer now, close enough that I could feel his warmth. "And you won." I turned to face him, this man who'd saved me, protected me, believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. "I couldn't have done this without you," I said quietly. "Yes, you could have. But I'm glad you didn't have to." His hand found mine on the armrest. "Ava, I need to tell you something." My heart stuttered. "What?" This was supposed to be transactional. You get your inheritance, I get my revenge. Clean, simple. His ice blue eyes held mine. But somewhere between the rain and the warehouse and watching you claim your throne, it stopped being about revenge. "What's it about now?" I whispered. "You." His thumb traced circles on my palm. "It's about you, Ava. It's been about you for a while now." The air between us crackled. "Lysander? I know this is complicated. I know you're vulnerable right now, and I should probably wait. But I've never been good at waiting." He cupped my face with his free hand. Tell me to stop, and I will. Tell me this is just gratitude or adrenaline, and I'll walk away. But if there's any chance you feel even a fraction of what I kissed him. It was impulsive, reckless, possibly stupid. And it was perfect. He responded immediately, his hand sliding into my hair, pulling me closer. The kiss deepened, years of loneliness and loss and longing pouring into it. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. That was, he started. A bad idea? I finished. I was going to say inevitable. His smile was soft, genuine. We're a disaster waiting to happen, you know that. I know. I touched his face, this beautiful, dangerous, complicated man. But I've spent my whole life playing it safe, trying to earn love I already had. Maybe it's time to be reckless. Reckless looks good on you. Everything looks good on me. I'm a billionaire CEO now. It's in the contract. He laughed, really laughed, and the sound warned something deep in my chest. What do we do now? I asked. Now. Lysander stood, pulling me to my feet. Now you sign those 700 documents. Then we hold a press conference announcing Richard Chen's arrest. Then we start rebuilding Hale Technologies into the company Magnus dreamed it could be. That's the professional answer. What's the personal one? His eyes darkened with promise. The personal one involves significantly less paperwork and significantly more of that kissing thing we just discovered. Heat rushed through me. I like the personal answer better. Good. Because I'm not letting you out of my sight for the foreseeable future. He grew serious. There's still Obsidian Capital to deal with. And whoever else was involved in your father's murder. This isn't over, Ava. I know. I squared my shoulders. But I'm not running anymore. I'm not hiding. I'm Magnus Hale's daughter. Both of them. And I'm going to finish what they started. Lysander corrected. We're going to finish it. I agreed. My phone buzzed. A news alert, breaking, Hale Technologies CFO arrested in murder plot. Adopted daughter takes control of billion-dollar empire. That was fast, I muttered. Riley's efficient. Lysander checked his own phone. Stocks already climbing. Investors like a good redemption story. This isn't a story. This is my life. I know. He kissed my forehead. And it's just beginning. He was right. For the first time in 23 years, I knew exactly who I was. I was Ava Hale. Daughter of Magnus. Daughter of Jonathan and Elena. Survivor. Fighter. CEO. And I was done apologizing for existing. 6 months later. I stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office, the CEO's office, my father's office, my office now, watching the Seattle sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. So much had changed. Hale Technologies had not only survived the scandal, it had thrived. Once the truth came out, once the world knew that Magnus Hale had been murdered by corrupt executives trying to sell out his company, public support had surged. Our stock had hit record highs. 3 major innovations had launched. We'd acquired 2 smaller companies and expanded into sustainable tech. I'd done that. With help, yes. But I'd done it. Richard Chen was serving 25 to life for murder and conspiracy. Damien had taken a plea deal, 15 years for corporate espionage and fraud. Ashton had gotten 7 years, reduced because he'd cooperated with prosecutors and genuinely seemed broken by what he'd enabled. Victoria had surprised me. She'd sold her Monaco estate, donated half the proceeds to charity, and started a foundation for foster children. She'd also sent me a letter every month for 6 months. I hadn't responded to any of them yet. But I'd kept them. Maybe someday. The door to my office opened. "You're here early," Lysander said, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Couldn't sleep. Still having the nightmares. Not as often. I accepted the coffee, letting the warmth seep into my hands. Last night's was different, though. I was back at the gates in the rain, but this time when I turned around, my father was there. Both of them. Magnus and Jonathan. And they were smiling. Lysander's arm slid around my waist, pulling me against him. That's not a nightmare. That's a good dream. I know. I leaned into his warmth. I think I'm finally healing. Good. Because you have a full schedule today. He kissed my temple. Board meeting at 9. Lunch with Jonathan at noon. Interview with Forbes at 3. And dinner with me at 7. Is that last one business or pleasure? With us? Always both. His smile was wicked. But tonight's special. 6-month anniversary of our first kiss. You're keeping track? Of course. I'm detail-oriented. It's why you keep me around. That's not why I keep you around. No. He turned me to face him, ice blue eyes warm now in the morning light. Why then? I pretended to consider. Well, you make excellent coffee. You're good at intimidating people in meetings. And you look fantastic in a suit. Ava. And, I continued, more seriously, because you see me. All of me. The broken parts and the strong parts and the parts still figuring themselves out. And you don't try to fix me or change me. You just stand beside me. His expression softened. Always. For as long as you'll have me. What if that's forever? Then I'm the luckiest man alive. He kissed me, slow and sweet and full of promise. When we broke apart, he pulled a small box from his pocket. My heart stopped. Lysander? Relax, he laughed. It's not that. Not yet, anyway. He opened the box to reveal a key. It's to my place. Our place, if you want it to be. I know you have your own penthouse now, but I thought, maybe we could make this official. Move in together. I stared at the key, emotion welling up. You're sure? I whispered. This is fast. We've only been together 6 months. Ava, I fell for you the night I found you in the rain. Everything since then has just been me trying to catch up to what my heart already knew. He tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. But if you need more time. No. I took the key, closed my fingers around it. No, I don't need more time. I want this. I want us. The smile he gave me could have powered the entire city. Move in this weekend. Move in this weekend, I agreed. My phone buzzed. A text from Jonathan. Good morning, sweetheart. Still on for lunch? Can't wait to hear about the new sustainable energy project. I smiled. My relationship with Jonathan had been tentative at first. 23 years of absence couldn't be erased overnight. But we were building something real. Learning each other. He told me stories about my mother, about their life before everything fell apart. I'd told him about Magnus, about growing up Hale. We were becoming father and daughter. Slowly. Carefully. Beautifully. He's good for you, Lysander observed, reading over my shoulder. He is. I never thought I'd have a chance to know my biological father. It feels like a gift. Magnus would be happy. That you found each other. I think so too. I looked up at the portrait of my father that hung on the wall, Magnus Hale in his prime, brilliant and fierce and kind. I miss him every day. But I'm not angry anymore. He did what he thought was right. Protected me the only way he knew how. And made you strong enough to protect yourself. We both did. Him and Jonathan. And you. I squeezed Lysander's hand. I'm who I am because of all of you. A knock on the door. Riley poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but the board members are starting to arrive. Also, you have a visitor. Says it's personal. I frowned. Who? Victoria Hale. Lysander tensed beside me. Want me to send her away? I considered. 6 months ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. But now? No, I said quietly. I'll see her. Give me 10 minutes. Riley nodded and disappeared. Lysander studied my face. You sure about this? No. But I think I need to do it anyway. I touched his cheek. Stay close. Always. Victoria looked different. Less polished. Her hair was simpler. Her clothes expensive but understated. And her eyes, they were red-rimmed, tired. Human. Thank you for seeing me, she said, standing awkwardly in my office doorway. Come in. I gestured to the chairs across from my desk. Sit. She did, perching on the edge like she might flee at any moment. Silence stretched between us. I don't deserve your time, she said finally. I know that. But I couldn't leave the city without trying one more time to apologize. Face to face. You're leaving. Moving to Portland. The foundation is opening a second location there, and I want to oversee it personally. She twisted her hands in her lap. I can't stay here, Ava. Not with everything that happened. Not with the constant reminders of who I was. Who I hurt. Running away doesn't change the past. I know. But maybe it gives me a chance at a different future. She finally met my eyes. I was terrible to you. Cruel and selfish and blind. I spent so long resenting you for having Dad's attention that I never stopped to wonder why he gave it to you. Victoria. You were kinder. Smarter. Better. Her voice cracked. Everything I pretended to be, you actually were. And instead of learning from you, I tried to destroy you. I'm so sorry, Ava. For all of it. Tears streamed down her face, real tears, not the performative ones she'd wielded like weapons before. I should have felt satisfaction. Victory. Instead, I felt something unexpected, pity. I forgive you, I said quietly. Victoria's head snapped up. What? I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. Not even because you've changed. I leaned forward. But because holding on to that anger is exhausting. And I'm done letting you take up space in my head rent-free. A sob escaped her. Thank you. God, Ava, thank you. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation, I continued. I'm not interested in rebuilding a sisterly relationship. Too much damage. Too much history. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I understand. That's more than fair. However, I pulled out a business card, slid it across the desk. If your foundation ever needs funding or support, call this number. It's our corporate philanthropy division. We donate to organizations helping foster kids. Victoria took the card with shaking hands. You do that? After everything? I'm doing it for the kids. Not for you. I softened slightly. But maybe someday, if you keep doing this work, if you keep trying to be better, maybe we can be cordial. Christmas cards. The occasional coffee. Maybe. Maybe is more than I hoped for. She stood, straightened her shoulders. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you've built here. What you've become. Dad would be too. I know, I said simply. After she left, Lysander emerged from the adjoining conference room where he'd been listening. You okay? He asked. Yeah. I was surprised to realize I meant it. Yeah, I think I am. That was generous. Forgiving her. Not generous. Self-preserving. Carrying grudges is heavy. I'm choosing to put it down. I smiled. Besides, I have better things to focus my energy on. Like what? Like this company. Like my relationship with Jonathan. Like us. I moved into his arms. Like building the life Magnus wanted me to have. And what life is that? One where I'm happy. Fulfilled. Free. I looked up at him. One where I choose my own family. Lysander kissed me softly. Best family you could have chosen. Debatable. You hog the blankets. You steal my coffee. You work too much. You're a perfectionist. We grinned at each other, and God, it felt good. Felt right. That evening, at dinner, an intimate restaurant Lysander had rented out entirely, Jonathan joined us. A celebration, he said, raising his glass. To Ava. 6 months as CEO, and Hale Technologies is stronger than ever. Magnus would be so proud. To Ava, Lysander echoed. I clinked my glass against theirs, warmth spreading through my chest. Thank you, I said. Both of you. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Always, sweetheart, Jonathan said. After dinner, as we walked through the city streets, Jonathan pulled me aside. There's something I've been meaning to give you, he said, reaching into his jacket. He pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring delicate, with a blue stone that caught the streetlight. It was your mother's, Jonathan said quietly. The only thing I managed to save. I've been carrying it for 23 years, waiting for the day I could give it to you. Tears blurred my vision. Jonathan. Elena would have loved you so much, Ava. Would have been so proud of the woman you've become. He slipped the ring onto my right hand. She's with you. Always. Both of them are. I hugged him tightly. This father I'd found, this piece of my past finally returned. Thank you, I whispered. For never giving up. For finding me. You were always worth finding. Later, back at Lysander's penthouse, our penthouse now, we stood on the terrace where I'd once contemplated my ruined life. Quite a difference from that night in the rain, Lysander observed. Everything's different now. I leaned against the railing, looking out at the city lights. 6 months ago, I had nothing. No family, no home, no idea who I was. And now? Now I have 2 fathers. A company I'm building into something extraordinary. A purpose. I turned to face him. And I have you. You definitely have me. He pulled me close. For as long as you want me. What if I want you forever? Then forever it is. His lips brushed mine. I love you, Ava Hale. Every brilliant, stubborn, beautiful part of you. I love you too, I whispered against his mouth. My devil. My savior. My partner. We kissed under the stars, the city sprawling below us, full of possibility. I'd been thrown away like garbage. Left in the rain with nothing. But I'd risen from those ashes. I'd claimed my inheritance. Found my family. Built my empire. And I'd fallen in love with the man who'd stood beside me through all of it. This was my happy ending. No, this was my happy beginning. Because the story wasn't over. It was just starting. And I couldn't wait to see what came next. The end. Wow. What a journey, right? If this story moved you, if you were rooting for Ava from the beginning, drop a comment below telling me your favorite moment. Was it when she confronted her siblings? When she kissed Lysander? When she forgave Victoria? And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I share stories like this every week, stories about resilience, redemption, and love that fights back. Stories that remind us we're stronger than we think. Where are you watching from? What story should I tell next? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here. Thank you for reading. Thank you for believing in Ava's story just like I do. Until next time, remember, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. See you in the next story. Red Heart # Fire.